on FYI. We hit the catwalk to check out the latest in sustainable fashion.
And I speak to the 13-year-old Ukrainian refugee who's turned her experiences into a novel.
I think it will help to people realize what war is truly does.
Hello, this is your weekly news show FYI, where we give you the latest on all the top stories.
Well, can you spot a fake story from a real one?
Well, check out these viral images that have been doing the rounds online and tell us what you think. These super cute creatures are supposedly rare white bats that look a little bit like Pomeranian dogs with wings.
And this picture is meant to be of a type of plant called a duck orchid. But are these real or just fake news? Find out later.
Now, you may have seen that it was World Refugee Day recently, a day to celebrate the strength and courage of displaced people forced to leave their homes because of war, famine and terror.
Yeah, it was started by the United Nations, which is a global organisation that brings countries together to agree on and talk about world issues.
And this year, I was part of the Great Big Live Assembly. My name's Scarlett and I'm a journalist for the children's news programme FYI, a special school assembly where thousands of pupils across the UK watched a live broadcast from a Syrian refugee camp in Jordan. Some of the pupils got to talk to children in the refugee camp to get a better understanding of what life is like for them.
Yeah, I mean, that's really interesting, actually, because I went to that refugee camp myself last year, and it was a real eye-opening experience, to be honest with you. I mean, no one should have to live in them conditions, never mind children.
Yeah, well, the film you made was actually shown as part of the Great Big Live Assembly, and I've been speaking to pupils at Bracken Hill School in Bracknell who took part to hear their thoughts on how they found it. What did you learn from the Great Big Live Assembly?
How hard it is for the refugees to move from one country that they know to a different country that they have no clue about.
Yeah. I knew about refugees, but I never knew about how they live once they get into a refugee camp.
I never knew that people are suffering so much in camps.
I think it's very important to learn about people because you never know what someone's going through.
I loved it when they showed how much they progressed with just a few materials. It gave me hope. It taught me that even if things are down, there's always somehow you can rebuild.
They still have education. I didn't expect them to have that sort of stuff over there. And they had all the little shops on the corner and how long they were and all cramped the little houses and shops were together.
The major thing I learned was how kind of poor these conditions are. It sort of enlightens you to how these people really have to live. I saw one of the houses had metal sheets on the outside. It made me think of my house and how, we have bricks outside, insulation.
How everyone was quite cramped into one space, I found it quite shocking. It makes you really think about everything you take for granted. Even your house, it's just something in our lives where we think we all have, everyone in the world. It kind of just enlightens you to the fact that not everyone is as lucky as you.
It made me feel bad for these people. They've had to go from one place to another with nothing. No one.
That's supposed to be the bare minimum, just being able to live in a country where you feel safe. And again, some people don't have that, so that's really important.
If we ever need a reminder about what many refugees have to go through, then this last week has given us that, with a terrible tragedy in the Mediterranean. A boat carrying hundreds of migrants and refugees from Libya to Italy capsized off the coast of Greece, with many people losing their lives or still missing.
So why are people still continuing to leave their home countries and make these sorts of journeys if they're so life-threatening? Well, if you just don't get it, don't worry, because Arvin has been investigating.
You know what they say, there's no place like home. But imagine just for a moment that your home was no longer safe and you had to live somewhere like this instead. It could be because of war, or your family has been badly treated because of your beliefs, or even climate change, which can cause severe droughts and floods. When this happens and families are forced to flee their homes to seek shelter in a different country, they become refugees. I speak from experience because I am a refugee. This is me in a refugee camp in Calais, in France. A small tent was our home for many months. Me and my family had to leave my home country of Iran because our lives were in danger. We traveled thousands of miles. Each country we got to forced us to leave and go to the next one until we finally reached the French coast. More on my story later. Firstly, how many refugees are there like me? Look at this. Across the world, there are currently over 32 million refugees. Nearly 40 million of them are children. It's the biggest mass movement of people since the Second World War, when millions of people fled their homes to find somewhere safe to live. In fact, the United Nations says every minute of every day, an average of 25 people are forced to flee their homes. More than 7 out of every 10 refugees come from just 5 countries. There are places hit by war and violence, like Syria, Afghanistan, and South Sudan, and most recently Ukraine. And then extreme poverty has driven millions of people out of Venezuela. So where do all these refugees go? Well, most of them end up in these 3 countries, right next to where they came from. So can you guess which country looks after the most refugees? The answer is Turkey, with 3.7 million refugees, while Colombia has 2.5 million and Germany has 2.2 million. Most of the refugees live in towns and cities or refugee camps where the conditions can get cramped and overcrowded. Some refugee camps are as big as cities. But not everyone is happy about their country taking in refugees. Check out these UK newspaper headlines from the last few years. Some people believe we already have too many refugees here and there isn't enough space for anyone else. But others say refugees should be made welcome here and given our support to rebuild their lives. In fact, thousands of British families signed up to host Ukrainians. Whatever you think, there are still hundreds of people who risk their lives to come to Britain every year, like me. The UK was our final hope. We left the refugee camp in France, and with the help of people smugglers, we had no choice but to cross the English Channel on a small boat. It was terrifying. Eventually, the government accepted my family was in danger in Iran, and we are so grateful we have been allowed to make a new life in the UK. I've learned to speak English, and I have a great school. Some politicians are calling for stricter patrols to try and stop people coming here in small boats. My hope is that more can be done to help people like me the moment we step foot in Europe. If you need a reminder about the scale of the problem, then how about this? Just in the time you've been watching this, somewhere in the world about 100 people will have been forced to flee their homes.
Another person who knows exactly what it's like to be forced to leave their home is 13-year-old Ukrainian refugee Yeva. I went to meet her to find out more.
The beginning, horror, war, the fear in my eyes.
Yeva is a Ukrainian refugee who fled her home city of Kharkiv after Russia invaded Ukraine. She now lives in Dublin and has written a book about her experiences called You Don't Know What War Is.
All of a sudden, a massive rocket sped by and exploded with such force that I felt my heart going cold in my chest.
Why did you decide to write a book?
When I decided to write it out, I wasn't expecting that it would be a book. I thought it would be like maybe like a story maybe about myself. I wanted to express all my feelings onto the paper, and like I really wanted, after 10, 20 years, I'll be able to read, and maybe my future children will ask how war was like in Ukraine, so able to give them diary and they will able to read this.
Yeah, it's amazing that you just started off by writing a diary and it's become a whole book that's been published. So what was the process of writing the book?
I decided just to write everything that happened to me, everything that I'm feeling, And this is, you know, like such painful situations where our apartments were bombed. I was just describing our journey through Ukraine and through the Europe, and then eventually when we settled in Ireland.
Yeva has been settling into her new life in Ireland, but the impact of war is still on her mind.
So do you think that your book is going to help others who are struggling?
I think it will help to people realize what war truly does, and it destroys families and children. And I really want everybody will understand we don't need a war. We should have peace in every single part of the world.
So you guys are into your fashion, right?
Yeah, and I do love my trainers particularly.
Definitely when I'm not in my uniform.
Well, have you heard of the latest craze, Junk Kouture? Now, if you think I'm talking about the things you'd find in the bin, then you're right. Junk Kouture is the world's largest youth sustainable fashion competition, challenging pupils from schools across the world to create imaginative and pretty often wacky outfits out of nothing but upcycled and recycled materials. And two experts in the world of Junk Kouture, Layla and Zara, join us now.
Wow, I mean, you guys look amazing. Can you tell us a bit about your outfits?
Well, our outfits were made for the Junk Kouture World Finals last year, and they're all inspired by lots of different things. For example, this one's inspired by 1950s ball gowns.
Yeah. This one's like the polar opposite. It's all like sweets and candy, just pink and fun. So what are they made of? I mean, this one, it looks like a wedding dress. It looks amazing. So is this an umbrella?
Yes, it's like a parasol that we made out of coat hangers that we tied together, as well as old plastic bags. The skirt is mainly made out of old dry cleaning bags because my family did a lot of dry cleaning.
It's better than, you know, putting it in the bin. So what's on yours? It's made of a ton of different things. It's like a repurposed dress, mattress topper, obviously a lot of Lindor wrappers, loofahs and then paper.
And you say it's all recycled materials, right? I mean, so it's friendly fashion, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. All of our materials that we've used have been repurposed. We can't use anything that's new.
So how did you guys get involved? We first started because our school set up a club for it, because it's been going on in Ireland for about 12 or 13 years, but they just introduced it into a ton of different countries like Italy, France, obviously the UK. So our school decided to sign up for it, and then we just continued until we got to the World Final.
How long did it take you to make your outfits?
Well, this one took around 5 months to make, whereas
this one was a lot quicker. It was about 4 weeks, but we did that one at school and this one was at home right after we'd finished the other World Final. So we got straight back to work. So you guys said that you took part in the last World Final. So what's the atmosphere like at the competitions?
It's an absolutely amazing atmosphere. Like, we have so many different people from all over the world coming together, and it's just a really fun atmosphere.
And we're obviously so excited for the Junk Kouture World Finals this year. It's coming up in October in Wembley. So we're really hoping that more people can see it and join in. Definitely.
Again, your outfits look fabulous. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you.
So did you think that these viral pictures of some white bats and a plant called a duck orchid were real? Well, they're both fake. The bats are actually stuffed white bat dolls, and the duck orchid was created using artificial intelligence technology.
Well, that's nearly it for this week, but don't forget you can catch up on all our episodes of FYI on our webpage at first.news/FYI.
As it was Insect Week this week, we're going to leave you with some incredible photographs of some fabulous insects taken by amateur photographers across the world as part of a competition.
See you next time. Bye.
Bye.